Dude, if you guys knew what I went through last night to get everything I needed to get for today and for future content, respectfully, you probably still wouldn't care. But listen, I did a lot and I was up till 4 a.m., so I'm using it as the intro. Yo, what is going on, my fellow weebs? Krono here is welcome back to the channel. So, oh man, I'm sure you guys have all heard that Crystal of Atlan's third anniversary is on the horizon for the CN team or for the CN side of the game. I mean, they had, of course, like dev node or dev log where they went into a bunch of stuff. And after trying to find everywhere I could to get this information for you guys, I eventually ended up making a Billy account to gather the information myself. Now, what it took to get that taken care of is beyond me, and shout out to those who assisted me with that. I promise not to name any names, so I will of course keep to that promise. But those guys who did, you know who you are, and for answering at the time that you did, yo, you're a real one. But that's besides the point. We have a Billy account now, so from this point forward, we'll actually be able to check out the new content as soon as it becomes available. That way, you guys don't have to wait on it. And that also means that we have access to the actual dev post. Now, we did get this translated, and let's not even talk about the translation situation because translation stuff is even dumber than it's been in the past. If you don't get things done very specifically, it tries to essentially make it up for you as it goes along. And I wanted to make sure I didn't miss any nuances. So this is translated via Google Translate as well as, our AI robot overlords. So apologies, there is going to be some context that is going to be missed. But I wanted to make sure to get as much information as I possibly could from this to make sure we get it as accurate to what they're talking about as possible. So let's read through everything. Let's talk about it, give you guys my thoughts and things like that. I'm also going to be leaving links in the video description as well, as I'm going to try to create like a actual doc of everything I had that was translated as well. That way, in case you want to read through it yourself, you don't want to listen to me talk about it, you are more than welcome to do so. You don't have to wait for me to make this content. You can go ahead and find that information out yourself. And whenever we go over like a video or anything along those lines in the future, I'll be able to give you a direct link to it, not a link to someone else who doesn't link it or whatever it happens to be. You can get the direct link to the actual content. That way in the future, you can find it on your own, whether you be a content creator yourself and want to make videos about this sort of thing yourself, or you're just someone who doesn't like relying on YouTubers to do all this stuff for you. Maybe you want to get this information on your own. You don't want to listen to me talk about it or yap for, I don't know, 3 minutes before we actually talk about what the whole video is about in the first place. So I digress. I appreciate you guys. If anything, you want to support or help out in any way, shape, or form, of course, liking the video, leaving it on the background to run helps out a bit as well. If you want to just mute it or whatever it happens to be. Also, you can now support the channel itself. I do have memberships set up. They're only $1. It does go towards making more content for you guys in the future, making sure I can pay other people to go ahead and make content, or pay other people to go ahead and help me, assist me with making that content. You guys have more content more regularly, more consistently. So I digress. All the shelling is out of the way. Let's go ahead and start with what's going on here. So Crystal Core is what this is called. I'm not sure if it's just a translation thing, but it's Crystal of Atlan is what it is, right? So to the adventurers, Crystal of Atlan's third anniversary. Thank you, adventurers. Thank you, adventurers. On the occasion of Crystal of Atlan's third anniversary, I think Zhao 2, or I think it's the company. I'm not 100% sure. I'm probably saying that wrong. Apologies. I would like to extend a heartfelt gratitude. Would like to send a heartfelt gratitude to every adventurer who has journeyed alongside of us. 3 years of companionship. It is because of that, or because of you, that Crystal of Atlan is what it is today. We bring you a letter from Crystal of Atlan's project team to the adventurers. Hello, adventurers. This is Crystal of Atlan's project team. Funny how we have another introduction right here, but yeah, probably translation thing. With a third anniversary approaching, we would like to express our sincerest gratitude to all players who love and support Crystal of Atlan. It's been a while since we picked up pen and paper, and today we want to share some heartfelt words with our new and old friends watching on screen. So I believe this is like, there's like an actual like live stream or something like that, but this is like the actual post itself. So let's go ahead and go over everything. Give me just a second while I get that pulled up, because like I said, it was a bit of a whole thing to get this all taken care of. All right, so over to the AI box. We have this, and again, translated directly word for word, line for line. This is not going to be perfect, so we'll try to parse this out to the best of our abilities and figure out what they're trying to say. But let's go through it. So the original intention has never changed. Part 1. This is like in multiple parts, basically. So you can see if we go back to the original post, you see if it's actually in multiple parts, like part 1, part 2, part 3, and then of course like the finish up here. So we'll go through each one and talk about it. So starting up. Part 1. The original intention has never changed. At the early stage of creating Crystal of Atlan, the reason was actually very simple. We wanted to make a game where everyone would feel or sorry, create a game that everyone would feel was refreshing, satisfying, or exhilarating. I think this is like they don't know the exact word for this or whatever, right? We wanted characters controlled by the players to have beautiful and powerful moves, to possess highly flexible movement abilities, rather than simply standing still and fighting by comparing numerical values. This is basically like the comparison of an action game versus like your tab target standard MMO, right? Instead of standing in one spot and then like comparing, which to be fair, tab target MMOs are a bit more than that, but I digress. I understand where they're coming from. Because of this, the current combat design was created. Of course, characters cannot be lacking either. We hope they have enough expandability, and we continue to introduce new professions in the future. I think that's talking about like basically classes. They want to make sure there's enough classes that kind of cover everyone. And we hope that with the combat style of every profession can bring players new experiences. Of course, people trying different classes. Everyone on the team deeply misses the days of staying up late to fight bosses and the sense of achievement brought by teaming up with good friends to clear dungeons. No offense to the Crystal of Atlan team, this is very much kind of lost in the current version of Crystal of Atlan and every version of Crystal of Atlan because of the whole pay-to-win aspect. Realistically speaking, that feeling is just, do you have someone that's spent enough money in game? Realistically, like, again, no offense to them, but that exists in other MMOs because you can only be so strong when you go into something. Basically, there's a cap. In this game, there's really not that. Like, the cap is spend close to $1 million, basically. So it is what it is. Therefore, cooperative boss fighting is also something that we wanted to include. I mean, it's there. So it's that. We hope that through an action game, we can bring back the passion and emotion that we were given back to us. So basically, they miss, fighting bosses super late at night with friends, and they wanted to kind of do that again, right? But I said what I said. The two elements of Demon Guide and Punk are both full of imagination, while also combining machinery and magic, order, rebellion. They're talking about like the whole style of the game or whatever. I think it's the like fantasy punk or sci-fi punk or something like that. I don't remember what they used to call this when it was coming out, but that's kind of their whole mindset. We've used the other two elements. We've used two elements together, creating the familiar Lion City and the entire Atlan world. So I think it's like the familiar main city and then the Atlan world itself. With this original intention, on July 14, 2023, Crystal of Atlan welcomed its public launch. And during these 3 years, we've also updated many versions of content. So this is probably the classes. Fighter, Shadow... Oh, so I think these are the new classes that came out. Fighter, Shadow Dancer, maybe Assassin, Inventor, Gunner. Maybe Fighter is supposed to be Karma Slayer, right? I'm not sure. Because that would cover that. Because this would be like... Assassin, Inventor, this would have covered... I don't know exactly what this is supposed to be specifically, but yeah. Fighter, Shadow Dancer, Inventor, and Gunner. And many other professions. They didn't include everything, so whatever. Bringing everyone brand new combat styles and experiences. Dungeons such as Lost Ruins, Sky Demon Island, Void Courtyard, Evolution of Divine Realm, Steel Frenzy, and many others. We believe they've also brought many players unforgettable memories filled with excitement and emotion. With the opening of higher level limits, new maps such as Wave Island, Floating Settlement, and Ice Valley Sanctuary. These two we have on global. This one is the new one for level 80. And others continue enriching the Atlan world filled with the element of Demon Guide. Not sure what they're trying to say there, but nah, whatever. They allow players to experience different regional styles and gradually explore more secrets of Crystal Core, Crystal of Atlan. So I guess they're trying to say is like, just different region and areas were supposed to be like massively different to experience different elements of the world, which I feel like they've done a pretty decent job of. A version continues to be delivered, but the original intention has always remained unchanged. With persistence, we have Crystal of Atlan of today's 3rd anniversary. So that's the first little section of it. It's a little bit more. So, I mean, more or less what they're trying to say is like the whole original thought process was they wanted to bring together people. They wanted to bring together players to enjoy like action combat, good looking characters, good looking moves, tons of different options, and to re-encompass that feeling that they had when you'd be up late at night fighting bosses, clearing dungeons, so on and so forth, and all that stuff. That's their intention. That's what they're doing. That's what they're trying to do. That's what they want to continue to grow with the game itself. So, okay, I guess. Like, sort of. Part 2, season server, a bold attempt. I believe our old friends must be very familiar with the content above. During the 3 years since Crystal of Atlan launched, we've achieved some results commercially. But with the pursuit of numerical growth systems, some gameplay and system experiences were not complete enough, and we encountered quite a few problems. Gold coin trading, class balance, equipment enchantment, game difficulty, new players unable to enter the game, equipment choice homogenization, and other keywords frequently appeared in the game community player feedback. Interesting. Like a sharp thorn, they continuously stayed in the hearts of every member of the team. Besides continuously polishing and optimizing current versions, we have also thought for a long time, try creating a new Crystal of Atlan that is independent, maintains the original intention, preserves the characteristics of the game, and is completely new. And so the season server was born. Okay, this reads bad. This reads, we couldn't fix these issues, so we ran from them. That's how this reads. That's not what they're saying, but that's how this reads. What they're saying is that while they're trying to stay fixing the issues they come across, they realize that these are things that almost always are going to exist. There's not much you can do about them. Now, some of these things I get, and players tend to complain about, not even just in Crystal of Atlan, across games in general. Game difficulty, I never really understood. Maybe too easy, maybe too hard. I'm not sure what they're going for here. Class balance will always be a concern. I've said this multiple times. Imbalance is a spice of MMOs. Making it so some things are imbalanced, honestly, kind of gets things to be interesting, but things need to rotate, be different, be better certain times. It's a situation where not everything is consistent when it comes to Crystal of Atlan, and a lot of times new classes are just substantially better, other classes aren't as good, and then the other classes don't get touched for a very, very long time, where we would like to see some changes happen for some of those classes that haven't really seen those changes, haven't really gotten those changes. If those changes happen, then you can have a bit of imbalance and not be too bad. But Spectre was broken for a long time until Karma Slayer came out and was more broken than Spectre, right? Like, you've had classes that got buffed out of nowhere, classes that got nerfed out of nowhere, things like, Magiblade and PvP, which some people would say was, justified. But you've got situations where like classes like Bounty Hunter haven't been touched in a very, very long time. You would expect them to be a little bit better, but they really aren't. With the release of the team, the team training ground, you can start to see classes shine, like how much damage is being provided by a Scythe Guard, how much damage is being provided by, let's say, a Cloud Strider, that people really aren't normally going to see. Usually people will only see their own damage, and they'll be thinking, oh, well, I'm doing half the damage of this other person, when in reality they are contributing to almost 30% of the damage that person's dealing, if not all 7 other people in the group, right? Like, all of these things come in when it comes to class balance, where in some games where we have tons of information, we see that a lot, and we start to see a bit more things being balanced. It's a bit more homogenized in that sense. The problem then becomes, the closer you get to balance, the more things start to get a little boring. Everyone starts to get the same tools, and the whole equipment homogenization issue that starts to happens with classes. 14 has been dealing with it for a very, very long time. They're in the process of trying to basically undo that problem that they have, where things are too balanced, and players tend to make things just unfun for themselves. So all this is to say is class balance, something that is always going to be a topic. You need to make sure you treat it properly as game devs, in my opinion, to where you're shifting things up so it's always interesting and new. You don't want to make one class stupidly broken every so often all the time, but making it so they're within a reasonable amount of each other and no one class goes unchanged for too long keeps things a bit more fresh and fun overall. But yeah, this all reads pretty poorly. And I'm not really sure how else to take it outside of we couldn't fix the problem, so we ran from it. But realistically, we understood the problem itself is deeply rooted, and instead of us trying to take the time, or instead of us forcing the players to wait for us to take the time to figure out how to undo all of these thorns, we're going to try something else for those players. That way they can go ahead and get into it. No matter how you look at it, it feels kind of bad. But at the same time, I feel like this is something that games like this actually kind of need. So that's just my personal opinion on the matter. I've seen it work in other games. I've seen it fail in other games. So how you feel about it is totally justified and up to you. I took a minute to really let this kind of sit for a second to kind of get a better understanding of it, because I don't want to read it as just negative, because I hate doing that. but like there's really not a way to read it. It's not negative. It feels like they gave up and they're like, let's just do something new. But again, like I said, this is needed to happen for games in the past, and games that's worked well with are games like MapleStory, where they have like, you know, their pay to win esque server that does very well, but they also have another server where that is pulled back and it's more MMO based, and that server is one that a lot of people really enjoy. So both of them exist in harmony that does very well, but changes have to exist and or go along with it. So I'm curious to see how they actually get that taken care of. All right, so season server is born. We carried out many bold experiments on the season server, hoping to completely solve the problem we encountered before and give players, I guess, and friends a brand new experience. 3 major features: free selection of 3 transaction modes, free class change with 0 consumption, a large reduction in the negative feedback of failed equipment enhancements, single character progression to full level. So I think I'm not sure what this is supposed to say. Free selection of 3 transaction modes. I think this means no energy is what this is trying to say. A free class change with 0 consumption, being able to swap classes whenever you want. A large reduction in the negative feedback of failed equipment enhancements. I believe your gear doesn't go down anymore, which I've been saying is a thing that's needed to happen for Crystal of Atlan for a really long time. I don't know why enhancements go down pre-15. It's so frustrating. Like, I don't mind the fact that the percentage is 20%, but like, stop making my gear go from 15 to 10. Like that just, it feels kind of bad. The star system can stay. It's still kind of crap, but the star system can stay. It's fine. Maybe don't have it go past 3 stars. Maybe have it be like 1 star at the start. Maybe have it be 2 later on. Maybe have it 3 later on, and make it not be so brutal. Going at the higher star rating. But the reality is that people have already spent so much money that they can't just do that and not just like mass refund a bunch of people, because people have spent so much money on that. So like, that's not going to happen. I don't think that's ever going to change. But the fact this is happening here, I like this. This is somewhere they can do this sort of thing. Good. I mean, single character progression to full level basically just means that you only make 1 character on the season server. There's that you're not making alts to feed your main character for any reason or shape or form. There's no benefit to that specifically, is what they're trying to say. That's, I guess, a good and a bad thing. Some people like having multiple characters. Some people like having different things for different days. I'm very much on the single character progression style personally. I only ever make alts if it's to feed my main and to dress them up, and that's about it. To be perfectly honest. And that's so cool. No characteristics. We're not only solutions aimed at previous pain points, but also the project team hopes to focus the game's experience on a pure, refreshing, satisfying, exciting experience. Okay. I'm not sure what that means, but whatever. We promised the following 5 points: free trading opened, pets, mounts, equipment and materials, fashion items, monthly cards, and other items can be listed for trading to earn currency. So this is where I've mentioned beforehand, like the season server, just because it isn't going to be a situation we have to pull and deal with all that stuff, doesn't mean it necessarily means that everything is going to be not pay to win. And I hate to say that, because like people hear the words pay to win and they immediately like shudder and it kind of, they shut down. But like I've said before, this is going to be about as pay to win as you would consider like RuneScape or World of Warcraft. Because you can, if you are able to do things like sell monthly cards, fashion items and materials, unless those fashion items and materials come from all of the different content you're doing, which granted they can, which that makes sense. But the monthly cards, I'm pretty sure you have to purchase them. If you can sell monthly cards after you purchase them, that means you can sell them for gold, meaning that there's some form of pay to win mixed into that whole process. It may not be as bad, since it's going to be money that goes to other players, or money that's spent by the players themselves, but it is going to affect the economy in one way, shape, or form. And it is worth thinking about when we're looking at something like this in the first place. It's not worth, condemning just yet, but it's worth considering. Common listing, designated buyers, the auction, 3 major trading modes can be freely chosen. So you can leave it up to common, as in like the game decides. Designated buyers, as in you choose who's going to, like, someone direct purchases it, or an auction, basically someone, actually, no, I'm sorry. So common listings is the game kind of decides. Designated buyers is you decide exactly what you're selling it for. And then auction is, of course, an auction, where people can auction up the item itself and they can kind of choose how much they're paying for it, and then they fight for it. I don't know how this is going to work. I think common listing is going to be pretty normal for almost everything, unless it's designated buyers, and then like it's going to be for things that aren't really worth it or that are insanely high. So we'll have to see how that goes. The price of gold sales and equipment trading are all determined by the player themselves. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. In continuation, A free class change with 0 consumption. Each month you can perform 1 major class transfer and 3 minor class transfers, meaning you can switch to an entirely different character basically, or switch between your specs 3 times. That's each month apparently, without consuming any items. A single server can create multiple characters. Characters are not interconnected, allowing players to experience a pure professional class gameplay experience. Single server can create multiple characters. That's weird to say that way and then say that you only need 1 character. That's probably a translation situation, but it is what it is. The classic 5 major professions, 11 transfer branches are available for free selection. So if I remember correctly, that would be puppeteer, magister, swordsman, gunner, magister, swordsman, gunner. Who am I missing? And fighter. Fighter are the 5 major professions. And then if it's 11 transfer branches, that means someone's got 3, meaning it's probably going to be magister. My guess is it's going to be a magician. That's the earliest one from what I understand. So likely what we're looking at is basically what Global got on launch. A reduced liver exhaustion reduction, truly lower costs. I feel like this is a liver exhaustion, liver. I'm not. Translation's fun. Equipment enhancement has greatly reduced the negative feedback caused by failure. Weapons can reach a maximum of plus 20. Other equipment can reach a maximum of plus 18. That is quite literally what my gear is currently on Global. Monthly cards and manuals can be listed for trading. You can play the game with 0 Krypton spending. No money spent, basically what they're saying. Yeah, but so here's the thing. Monthly cards and manuals can be listed for trading, but that means they have to be purchased. Instead of being listed for trading, that means you can buy them with gold. So yeah, it's kind of like the RuneScape concept, where if you make enough money in game, you can purchase your monthly stuff without having to spend any money on the game itself, which is a good thing, but inherently that means you can spend money on these things, meaning you can get gold utilizing that process. So again, something to do. Returning all mainline energy consumption. You can reach full level in the fastest case of only 1 day. I think this is saying that there's no energy anymore. So cool. Remove content such as Fate Roulette gameplay, Godhead systems, Eternal Cycle, Master Apprentice systems, and other systems. I don't think the Master Apprentice system is a bad system. I think inherently it's flawed in how it was set up, and it needs to be more. It needs to be shifted. A good example would be what PGR's Master Apprentice system was, where it actively incentivizes the master to provide bonuses to their apprentice, but doesn't force them specifically to play together. I think it's important to understand that not everyone has the same schedules. So the master apprentice system, I feel like, is flawed in that sort of way. Let's say, for example, you were given bonuses for your apprentice doing specific things, and your apprentice gets bonuses for their master completing certain things, being certain tasks, or being certain amounts of power. It would incentivize players to want to be an apprentice underneath specific masters, while also incentivizing those masters to want to be as powerful as they possibly can, provide for their apprentices, while also giving them some bonuses and things along those lines. Basically, remove the whole having to force to play alongside each other, but give bonuses for doing so to reward people for actually playing together. That sort of thing. But removing with these things means it's just more of a pure character development setup. No one can take advantage of the system, so on and so forth, which is fine. I think that's okay. Increased drop rates and truly gold producing. The party dungeon includes 3 modes: single player, story, and elite. We expected this, so there's no legend mode that's going to be added in. The increasing drop rates and I guess gold you can farm more or less. There are a total of 14 difficulty levels. Each difficulty can be cleared for the first time. So they mentioned this when they were talking about the whole server itself. Basically, you're able to get first time clear difficulties for every single difficulty level. Equipment, pets, mounts, and fashion items and other rewards can all be dropped directly. So you can actually get drops of fashion, pets, and equipments. Yet again, another game where I get to be at an advantage for being a male player, because I'm sure all the female outfits are going to be more expensive. Classic level 60 versions of 4 major dungeons will randomly open 2 reject cores every week. So 2 sections of the dungeons open up every week, and level 60 versions of the classic dungeons. Hopefully they do some changes here, because if they just leave them as is, they're going to be kind of a pain in the ass. It's going to be kind of boring. 2 servers running in parallel with no entry barrier. The normal server and the season server are independent from each other. So they're trying to do basically what MapleStory did, which if they make it work, very good. Not 100% sure if they can make it work, but we'll have to see how things go for that. So gameplay, competitions, ranking, accounts, and other aspects are completely separated by region. Honestly, I'd like to see regions. I don't know how to well, gameplay, competitions. So yeah, so it looks like we're not going to queue with cross servers as much anymore. It's a good and a bad thing, really. Depending upon the regions you were queuing with before. They did kind of combine some of the regions, but I assume they're going to, I guess they're planning for there being a lot more people, but we'll have to see. Hopefully they combine all of US together, all of EU, and like they're all same servers or whatever, basically. Because the separated servers have a big issue. But at the same time, like being on a server that's kind of dead is actually kind of a benefit too, because you get to take server rank rewards, which can be very, very useful. All players start together from a completely new beginnings. Basically, you're not bringing any characters over, anything along those lines, which of course we expected. Of course, the content of the season server is not limited to these things. Now, they keep calling it a season server, but my biggest concern is if you reset this server, man, like it's gonna be an issue. Like, I feel like it's gonna be a problem. So here that goes. For problems exposed during recent testing, we'll do our best to gradually solve them. We also hope everyone will continue to actively provide feedback about your gameplay experience and problems you encounter. Again, my issue in this situation is they've shown the the mindset of just abandoning something. Not really abandoning the main server. They said they're gonna run them both in parallel, but like creating a server that doesn't have these problems, right? Hopefully they do invest in the server, but they also keep their investment in their regional server as well, their original servers as well. So let's see how that goes. All right, so 3 years. Thank you everyone for your support. During the 3rd year, we've also prepared a great deal of content and benefits for our players and friends. The first external profession. Oh, this is Elsa or Aisha. The first external profession of Crystal of Atlan, will officially launch during the 3rd anniversary. So she comes out on the 3rd anniversary. Okay, cool. Anniversary is. Hold on, we went over the date at the very beginning. Hold on. I'll get back to it. July 14th. So July 14th is when Elsa / Aisha comes out. Here we go. Officially launched during the 3rd anniversary. So she's a female knight who uses light to illuminate the path ahead for adventurers and ultimately breaks free from the shackles of fate, accompanying players by their side. For those who played the global version, she's a part of the level 80 storyline, so you'll learn about her later. I played the level 80 story, and even though I didn't understand anything that was happening, it was all really cool. So I'm actually looking forward to actually understanding what was happening there. So continuation part 3. Bring back the fighting spirit from Ice Valley's entire city battle, and continue the spirit of completion and of competition and striving. In addition to continuing last year's style of 3rd anniversary, full new daily outfit, orange pet selection box, and large amounts of growth materials. This year we want to give players an even more benefits and surprises. Plus 15 enhancement ticket or 4-star repair agent. So a 4-star catalyst or a plus 15 enhancement ticket. We hope this can quickly help new players or players who are currently strengthening their equipment. This should likely be the default, honestly. The ticket wouldn't really matter nearly as much if they just made it so gear didn't go down past 15. Like once you got to 10, like it just kept going up, it didn't go back down. You have to forgive me, there's a storm going on outside. But it would be nice if that just wasn't the case, right? But this is a step in the right direction. Mount gift card. We hope we can improve players' efficiency in running maps while also supplementing veteran players' mount collections. So they're giving out a free mount, basically. 30 million guaranteed and up to 400 million enhancement funds. Holy, that's a lot. 400 million enhancement funds is insane, and that is going to piss off the global player base. They did not get that during the 1st anniversary. Though, Unseen, they're on their 3rd. So, like, let's just hope that the next anniversary is better, right? Fingers crossed. 1st anniversary was kind of... It wasn't bad by any means. Some people might be like, oh, it's so terrible. It's so awful. They're so stingy. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't amazing. We're going to call it mid, as it should be called. That's the middle line. It's middling. It was pretty mid, all things considered. People have this mindset of, like, we're owed, and I'm like, give me some free stuff and move on, right? I'm going to get excited when there's something to be excited about. One hammer and it goes up. Yeah, sure. We'll see about that. Glenn likes to give us nothing. In addition, through only player participating in the sign event, or only player participating in the sign event, all players can obtain the class change item, Star Realm Mystery Key, helping everyone experience more fashions they love. Oh, I guess a clock, basically a free clock for everyone. So that's cool. We hope the above benefits allow every player who has accompanied us until today to feel this gratitude. So yeah, so it looks like 30 mil plus 400 mil in enhancement funds, a plus 15 ticket or a 4-star repair agent, which is, I guess, a 4-star catalyst, which I believe is just a guaranteed 4th star on something. So that's pretty cool. It's a 30th anniversary full new daily outfit. So like a full new outfit for the anniversary. An orange pet selection box. This needs to be 3, not just 1, by the way. And large amounts of growth materials. Also, all these are really, really nice. But I need to make that 3 and not 1, so it's like a full pet. But yeah, that's pretty good. A free mount was pretty dope too. So like a new mount. Even if you have the mount you want, having more mounts does give you more power since there's the whole mount collection thing. So that's really, really good. But yeah, so final message. Finally, the Crystal Atlan project team would like to once again share some words from our hearts with everyone. 3 years of time, every suggestion from players, every battle, every bit of passion and willingness to leave has been our greatest motivation to move forward. The Crystal Atlan project team will always stand together with everyone, listen to everyone's words, not disappoint your passion, not disapprove your expectations, and work hard to make every future version the best it can be. May every adventurer, friend, work hard together with us, step into the journey, and may the adventures ahead become more exciting. All right, so that's the entire thing. And after reading through everything in like this format, I've actually read through a few different translations, and it doesn't really like give this level of detail. I had to like really break it down to fully understand everything. I have a couple of things here to talk about. So, the beginning of this, talking about the class situation and of course what they were trying to do with the balance, so on and so forth. Players can easily optimize the fun out of their own games. So class balance, while I think is something that's important, it doesn't need to be perfect. I think it needs to be constantly shifting and changing, and they got to make sure they don't ignore any classes individually. Once classes start to feel like they get ignored, they feel like the dev team isn't listening to them, and then they start asking questions like, are you even playing the game, or do you even know how these classes work? Which are reasonable questions to ask if certain classes are just starting to be forgotten about. Moving forward, the season server. I think the season server is an awesome idea, but my concerns are the word season, which tells me that it only exists at certain time frames or certain periods of time, or might have things like wipes, or those are things that really would cause issues, I feel like, for that server. Though there's no guarantee that's the case, since we have no information about that being the situation that we're dealing with at the moment. I think it's more of like just a reset of Crystal of Atlan, but there are certain things that are going to be important and done there. Drop rates have to be looked at very, very carefully, and energy just can't exist. I'm pretty sure this is saying energy doesn't exist, but energy really just can't exist. As far as like being able to purchase in the monthly subscriptions and then sell them, I don't think that's a problem. I think that's actually completely fine. Other games have done it and dealt with it, and they're okay, right? Like, does it inherently pay to win? Yes, but at the end of the day, it's not like something that's going to really ruin the experience overall. And it is something that does affect other players as well in helping them actually get things that they need. So if it's something that I feel like you can kind of work alongside the player base, I feel like it's definitely going to be worth it overall. So there's that. I am not the biggest fan of the fact that we're basically going back to the base classes of Crystal of Atlan. I get, you can't have all these classes at level 60, but some of the worst time we had with Crystal of Atlan is at the level 60 patch, and you're kind of pushing everyone back there just to kind of play this version of the game. And while we likely will do it even on global, it's not going to feel great. And there are people that have really come to like the class that they're playing now and have to go back to a class that they really don't want to play, or wait and have to feel that process all over again. Just, it doesn't really feel good. It's not really that, it's just not that fun. So hopefully they really learn that players do want to play specific classes. Like, having class diversity is going to be very important, but they aren't super skimpy on the class balance, right? They continue to push forward with class balance and shake up the meta, make certain things more powerful, make certain things weaker. That's totally understandable and fine. And I'm saying this as a Karma Slayer main who understands fully that Karma Slayer is not going to be available, and also understands that Sugar, when it releases, is going to absolutely diff Karma Slayer. It happened in CN. I'm pretty sure it's going to happen on global. I'll live with it. It's perfectly fine. But I am someone who plays tons of MMOs, plays lots of live service, and that's one thing that keeps things interesting, is the shift of balance, the balance of power. And I want to see that start to move and change and shift overall. And hopefully we see that on the season server as well. Other than that, I mean, the other things they talked about all sound really cool. The only thing I'm concerned about is the raids. If they change nothing and it's just a numbers tune, it's gonna get boring fast, man. A numbers tune isn't really gonna make much of a difference. I mean, granted, it'll adjust how you deal with the situation itself, but at a certain point, it'll just be like, how much gear do you have? Do you have the right gear? So on and so forth, and it's not gonna be fun. So hopefully they do actually adjust how some of the bosses behave, the AI of the boss, like the patterns, the attack patterns, the abilities and things of that sort. Hopefully they actually look at that and they do adjust it. Not every single level, obviously, but from like a chunk to level basis. Like, you know, the first difficulty of Elite shouldn't really respond the same way the 7th difficulty or the 14th difficulty responds, basically. Like, hopefully they do go through that process and they really think about it. The concern that, you know, these were all issues for them, that was a thorn in the side. You guys can hear that. There's a thorn in the side, and then the option was to go to the season server is, of course, concerning. It does kind of get the mindset that, oh, maybe they're not gonna, you know, stick to something, or they don't really have the ability to figure things out. But they did mention further on, which makes me feel a little better, is both, you know, servers running parallel, side by side. Of course, they're not gonna get rid of the pay to win server because it's making them money. That much is obvious. But hopefully they do invest in both servers to a reasonable degree, and nothing suffers on one end because of the other. But we'll have to see. That usually requires more work, and that might very well be why they're actually pushing global forward to catch up to CN. So they're not juggling two different lines of the current updates that are currently available. So that's, of course, that there's nothing to say that's the reason why, but that's just speculation. But yeah, so the season server does seem interesting. I'm ready to play it. Actually, this is something I actually do like a lot. The whole maximum of 20 and 18. Putting a cap on this means that like the expected power for things can actually exist, and players will be able to measurably reach these things. Maybe not all at the same time, but eventually you can reach the same place as someone else. Maybe someone has better luck than you. Maybe eventually you have enough luck to reach that point. I feel like this is kind of important, that there is an end goal that is reasonable and reachable for everyone. So hopefully that is what we're dealing with here. We'll have to see how that works out. Drop rates being good, hopefully, fingers crossed. The anniversary rewards look really good. For the Asian servers, or sorry, for the CN servers. Aisha looks really cool. We've seen, I'll have a video of her up probably tomorrow, but Aisha looks really, really cool. And then of course, all the rewards that they're giving out, the plus 15 ticket, it's like, thank you, but like in CN, honestly, I don't know where this is any use to most people. I feel like a lot of people that are playing CN currently, like, they're far past 15. Hell, I'm on global and I'm far past 15 on all my gear. So like, this should be like kind of the staple at this point. I feel like what would be crazy here is like a plus 17 ticket, to be honest. But that does seem a little bit far-fetched. But at the same time, I feel like it would be somewhat reasonable to see, like, you know, a high ticket somewhere online, like a plus 20. Like, honestly, if this said a plus 20 ticket as a one-time ticket for your account, I wouldn't even really be mad at that. That means that, you know, you would have a character with a plus 20 weapon, and anyone who doesn't have their plus 20 weapon would have a plus 20 weapon. And granted, yeah, I would have spent a lot of money going towards my plus 20, but I feel like anyone here would agree, like, that's kind of like a fair baseline for a lot of people, I feel like, overall. But I digress. We'll have to see how that goes. The Mount gift card's really dope. The 30 million guarantee up to 400 million enhancement funds is awesome. That's really, really cool. Up to is what concerns me here is, you know, we've seen them do top-up events is where they give stuff, so I'm not sure how that works out. We'll have to see how they go about that process. And, I mean, that's really about it. That's all I have to say on the matter. If there's anything I missed, feel free to let me know in the comments below, and we'll definitely go over it. Like if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe when you keep up with more. As always, thank you to the channel members. You guys are fantastic, and I appreciate every single one of you. And I will see you all in the next video. Take care, my friends. Peace out.